Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Nappy time for the band. So, at the very least, which is not little, when we chant, our attention is slowly, little by little, pulled away from the outside world and our thoughts. Shama, you want your blanket? I'm not using it. Because most of the time, most of our life is spent with our attention lost in outside stuff, the external world, the supposed external world. Whether there is one or not, that's a whole other story. It looks like there is. And those thoughts and stories that we tell ourselves all life long, the stuff we believe about ourselves, it pretty much goes unchallenged our whole lives. The programs that were put into us as young kids just keep going on. And if we don't do something to change that, we don't do something to change that. We get born, go to high school, drink some beer, and die. That's it. And that's what it's like for most people in this world, unfortunately. Either they're born in places where there is no dharma, no spiritual stuff, or they're born in a situation where they don't have time or safety to practice. But here we are. We don't even know how we got here, but here we are. Trying to do something to help ourselves. I thought of a little story while we were singing. You know, in 1989, I was in Allahabad in India at a place called the Prayag, where there was a Kumbh Mela. A Kumbh Mela is, every year there's a Mela. Mela means a festival. And every 3 years there's a quarter Mela, every 6 years there's a half Mela, every 12 years there's a full Mela. It's a 12-year cycle of astrological stuff. Shut up. Nothing, just talking to a friend. So this one was the 12th. These stars, this astrological thing, hadn't been in that position for 144 years. So this was big time. There were like maybe 30 million people. Became the biggest city in India for about 2 weeks. Goes on for a month, but 2 main weeks. So I was living in a camp, a little camp of tents, with a yogi who was 163 years old. Really, he was. You don't believe me? He was. I remember once he looked at us and said, "You're from America? Huh. You remember when Lincoln was shot?" "Oh, no, yeah. We read about it in the papers," he said. And the guy had been living in the same area. Everybody knew him. He was 163. And one day, he said he was going to visit his elder guru brother, who was 250-something years old. And his name was Deobra Baba. Deobra is a county in Uttar Pradesh. And this Baba had been living there for hundreds of years. He was your grandfather's 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 guru. Everybody knew him. It was no mystery. And the funny thing is, after 2.5 years, I came back to the States, and I went to my mother's house, and in the morning I woke up and I went to the A&P to get some Cheerios. Maybe it was Wheaties at that time. And as I'm checking out, I look over, and the National Enquirer was in the rack, you know? And on the front page, it said, "World's oldest man," and a picture of this Baba. Really? I went. So the younger Baba, the 163-year-old guy, goes to visit the older guy. And he comes back and he said, "Oh, we had a nice time. He told me that Sri Krishna came to him and asked him to come play with him in Vrindavan. So he's going to go." A couple of weeks later, he left the body. Krishna came and asked him to come play. So he said, "Okay." And he left the body and went to Vrindavan to play. India is another world. And it still exists. The spiritual India is still there. It's not easy to find, but it's still there. So I just read this thing that a friend of mine wrote. His name is Tulku Sherdar. He's a Tibetan Lama, a Canadian Tibetan Lama. And he said, you know, he'd been doing these practices for so many years to Tara, the goddess Tara. And the quality of Tara is that she loves everyone. She's here to save everyone from suffering. He said, but I've been doing these practices, but it's been so hard for me to actually believe that Tara loves me. So I just started thinking about that. I don't know. Most of us, we don't believe there's a Krishna or a Rama or a Hanuman or Shiva, Kali. We read about that stuff, but it's just stuff for us. What we don't know and what we have to know is who the fuck we are. That's the first thing. That's what we have. When we look in the mirror, there's a whole storyline that we see. Inside that storyline is who we are. So it doesn't really work for us to try to manipulate ourselves into one kind of experience or not. When we're practicing, when we're singing or meditating, that's not your job. Your job is to pay attention to what you're doing, not to try to have some kind of experience, not to all of a sudden manipulate, to trick yourself into feeling good or feeling loved or feeling all that. That's not the way it works. All we have to do is pay attention to what we're doing, which is very hard. And you don't notice that until you try to do it. And the expectations we have about what we're doing, like when we sit down to meditate or chant or something, that's what stops us from really getting it together. It never feels, oh, I've been meditating for 3 years, I still feel like shit. That's good. That means you're paying attention. Somehow we have to loosen up these habitual identifications that we have with our stuff. The problem is we believe it all so deeply and so unquestioningly. You wake up and you don't feel good, and I'm depressed today. And we really believe that. We feel bad, and we believe that. When I started chanting with people, it was because I had this epiphany that if I did not sing with people, I would never be able to clean out the dark shadows in my own heart. And the understanding was this stuff was pushing me around like a shadow. You can't see it. But the only way to do that for me was to start chanting. And it had to be with people. So here we are. I mean, do you really want to spend the rest of your life fucked up? Really? You can if you want to. I mean, nobody's going to stop you. But why? Part of the reason why is we don't really believe there's anything we can really do about it. That's the unfortunate reality. Because nobody in my life growing up ever did anything about their states of mind. Right? So where was that understanding going to come from? Or where does it come from for us, you know? It doesn't come easy because it's so sticky in there and scary too. Who wants to deal with their stuff? Nobody. This is fun. It gets you all so depressed, you run out of here screaming. There won't be anybody here tonight. I can go home and watch TV. Maharaji said, through the repetition of the name, which is the chanting we do, name, the names of what they call God. In India, there's 1 million names for God. You walk down the street, there's Sri Bhagavan Insurance Company, Durga Travels, you know, Saraswati Cleaning Service. You know, everywhere you go, there's God. Through the repetition of the name, everything is accomplished. And he knows what everything is. And that's what he said. So, wow. That's like, you know, the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. This stuff works. He says it does. He says everything will be accomplished through the repetition of these names. Do you believe it? No. Do I believe it? If I really believed it, I'd just be sitting at home going, I wouldn't even eat. Certainly wouldn't be watching TV. To the extent we believe that our actions can have a good effect on our lives, that's how much we'll make an effort. But we hardly believe it, and so we hardly make an effort. We meditate for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, every other week. And we think we're really a yogi. Yeah. You do a couple of asanas and you think you're a king of yogis. But to change the way we go through our lives is a really big thing. And like I told you, I had that epiphany that the only way for me to change my inner reality would be to chant with people. It took me a while to get with the program. I called Dharmas first, but they didn't want me to come. Eva said, well, I'll talk to Dharma next. So I called Jivamukti, and they said, yeah, come on down. Come on Monday, okay? So I went on Monday. There were 10 people there. They had the teacher trainees every Monday. David and Sharon, they would read, do some readings, and take Q&A. I would sing for about 15, 20 minutes. That went on for a few months. And then I showed up, and they weren't there. They went to India. And they were gone like 3 months. So I sang for like 3 hours. Then after 3 months, I came, and their pillows were there. They showed up. Oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, good, okay. So I started singing. An hour later, I went, oh, shit, they're here. And I looked over, and I went like, and they just went. So Mondays became my night. They stopped coming. They stayed home and watched TV. And it just happened. It just happened. There was no agenda. Doing practice is like planting seeds. Every repetition of the name is a seed. Every time the mind comes back or your awareness comes back from dreamland, that's a seed too. If we plant seeds, those seeds will grow. If we don't plant them, nothing's going to grow. Unfortunately, it's very simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You know, we're used to like 15,000 channels on television, but sitting down and trying to pay attention, it's not easy. Each one of us has to find out what works for us. Really, nobody can tell you. Maharaji never told me to go forth and multiply. You know? He never told me to go chant with people. I wanted to do that. We had chanted with him, to him, for him. But life got in the way, and I never did it. And it wasn't until like 21 years after he died that I started singing with people. Stubborn. I was so angry and hurt, pissed off that he left me. I wouldn't do anything. I had to get over that. So, but he left it to me to find out what I wanted to do. Last time I saw him, so far, I was going to leave that day for Delhi to get on a plane back to America after 2.5 years in India, walking around barefoot in a red dress. I thought, this is not going to work in New York. What'll I do in America? Well, maybe I should ask him. No, don't you ask him. What's wrong with you? You should have faith. Faith my ass. I'm going back to America. So I'm sitting there right in front of him, arguing with myself, right? But finally I blurt out, Baba, how can I serve you in America? He looked like he bit a pickle. He says, asking about service, it's not service. Just do what you want. Now, I had been celibate for 2.5 years. During prime time, ages of 23 to 26. I knew what I wanted to do, and he knew what I wanted to do. That was the thing. So I just went, My mind literally stopped. And he laughed. He said, so how you served me? Living with somebody who knows everything about you, you know, every little thing, every thought, is just a trip. So then I had to go. He said, just do what you want. Then it was time for me to go, so I bowed down, I walked across the courtyard, and I did a Danda Pranam, full down on the ground. And as I was there, on the ground there, I heard my voice in my mind, but it wasn't me talking. And it said, I'll sing to you in America. Oh, okay. And I got up and left. But it took me 21 years to start singing with people. So when I tell you, when I say to you, you got to plant some seeds, I know how hard it is to overcome the delusion and the inertia of the mind and the emotions, engaged all life long with the stuff. It's really hard. Really hard. We have so many reasons why we don't pay attention, why we don't do what's in our own best interests. What are you going to do? It's up to you. Okay, let's change the channel before everybody commits suicide. So, we have a microphone, and we'll take some questions. I'll ask the questions. Okay. If you want to say something, just raise your hand. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Kev, can you put me in here, in this mic? Go ahead.
So my name's Racheli, and I came up to you at the Ram Dass retreat.
Okay.
And we were discussing the names of God, and I grew up Orthodox, Jewish Orthodox.
There's a lot of different Orthodox. Thank you.
Yes, yes, that one.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the Hanuman Chalisa.
That's a good Jewish prayer.
It's a good one. So then I was home on Rosh Hashanah at my parents', and suddenly, like, I couldn't do it. The names of Ram and Hanuman and all of that.
Yeah.
I felt this resistance. And I'm just curious if you have any thoughts, because I do believe it is all one. We were talking about that book with the Baal Shem Tov. But yeah, if you have any thoughts for me on that.
Thoughts. Let me think about that. Yeah, I remember one time I was doing a retreat and a woman raised her hand and said, I was at a Jewish retreat last weekend and they say you can't say the name of God. And I said, you're right. We're just lying. And Maharaj used to say, go on, sing your lying fake Ram Ram. One of these days you'll really call out and the real Ram will come. Whatever that is, it's beyond conceptions, thoughts, names, labels. Reality is beyond all that. So the true name of God can never be spoken. On the other hand, because we live in the world of thought and emotions and words and concepts, what we try to do is gather ourselves up and eventually offer ourselves to that place within us that is real love. And we use these names as a method to do that for ourselves, to accomplish that. But the names themselves are St. John of the Cross wrote that in the beginning the Father uttered one word. That word is his Son, and he utters him forever in everlasting silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, it's the absence of stuff, of concepts. So silence is reality, but it's beyond words. The only way for us to recognize that is to see it ourselves within. These names, they say these names are the sound form of what's beyond form. Maharaj used to say, you can get to the formless through the only way to, he used to say, the only way to get to the formless is through the form, because we identify with form, with our own form, with the body, thoughts, the emotions. We identify with that. So inside of that delusion, this method of chanting, the names. I mean, if you chant Frank all day long, you'll get a headache. People named Frank will start knocking on your door, you know. You'll wake up in bed, instead of your husband, there'll be a Frank. It's dangerous, you know, this stuff works. So it's better to sing the names of what's real. And all these other names that we're chanting are the names of this place within us that is beyond form. It's hard to talk about things beyond form because we don't know. What was I just reading something? A brain is a terrible thing to lose. But anyhow, yeah, we're in form. We live in form. Everything, our thoughts, our emotions, our things, those are feelings, it's all form. So, but inside of that form, that it's like clouds in the sky. The sky is vast. The space is vast and endless. And it envelops everything. It includes everything within it. So all these concepts, all these forms, actually are held in this vast presence, this vast being, this vast silence. But to get to the silence, we have to use techniques in form. So that's what the names are about. And like I said, when you say, because if you were 100% there and you said Ram, you would have that experience of what really Ram is. And like Kabir, the poet says, my Ram is not that prince. You know, my Ram is reality, the indwelling presence in everyone, reality. So yeah, you know, it's just, I was just at the Wailing Wall like a month ago, 2 months ago. It was intense. I sang Chalisa, banging my head against the wall like everybody else. Like, God, this is so horrible. But, yeah, so, you know, but all that being said, you have to honor your own feelings. What feels right to you is what you should follow, what you could listen to. I don't want to say should, but could. Because if you don't follow your own heart, then what? Right? So don't doubt that. That would be what I would, you know, you could examine your feelings. Well, why do I feel this way? Is this really me, or is it my programming that's making it uncomfortable? You know, so whatever it is, you should go with it. You could go with it, see? Shh. Because if the whole path is learning how to trust yourself. The whole path is nothing but learning how to trust oneself. Because that's where it is. Always. Kev, I can't hear me in here. A little louder.
Hi.
Hi.
So I've recently been blessed to have kirtan enter my life in the last probably 18 months, so year and a half. And coming from a music background, I've invested in a harmonium, and I sing and chant in my home, and I sing my heart out. And then whenever I get into a group of people and am chanting the same chants that I've practiced at home or have developed at home, it sort of flips from being a genuine expression of love for divinity into almost like a leadership role, I guess. And so I guess I'm wondering if you have any perspective or advice on how to keep the main thing in a group when you're leading a chant or a melody, because for me it sort of flips into this almost performance instead of a community expression of love for divinity. So I'd love your perspective on that if you have any to offer.
Well, first of all, don't quit your day job. And it's good that you see that. It's useful that you see that. But you only had two options. You gave me two options. Neither one is good enough. If this isn't your spiritual practice, you're doing it wrong. So, and spiritual practice, you say chanting to divinity and all this. I mean, I don't even know what that means. Do you? Right. So just chant and pay attention. And when you're gone, come back. Focus on the sound of what you're singing. All this other stuff's going to come and go. Sometimes you'll feel good, sometimes you'll feel bad. Sometimes this will happen, sometimes that'll happen. What won't change is the sound of the name. That'll always be there for you to come back to. And that's the deal. So ultimately, it should be no different at home or in a group. But you're seeing your stuff, so that's good. Just keep letting go. And be sincere and open and honest. And don't try to fool anybody, because you're only fooling yourself. When we started singing, when Maharaji would ask us to sing, we would just stand there and go, Shri Ram Jai, very Ram Dass-like. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. So one day, one of the guys who were hanging out with us knew the Hare Krishna guys. They came to Vrindavan for the first time in 1971. Maybe they were there before, but they started coming in numbers. And one group came from Hawaii. So this guy was from Hawaii, and he knew the leader of this group. So he invited them to come to the temple to sing. So 20, they all came, and they had their drums and their bangers and their clangers, and they were dancing and everything. And Maharaji loved it. He looks over at me and goes, Hare Krishna, Maha Mantra, like it was a big secret, So then they left. He reaches in his dhoti, and he pulls out a 50 rupee note, and he gives it to me. He said, go buy a drum. From that 50 rupees, here we are. So, there was a great saint in the 1800s named Sri Ramakrishna. And he talked about the way chanting works. So he said, every repetition of the name is a seed, okay? Just like a seed, a little tiny seed could have a huge tree inside it, right? These seeds of the name have even a greater potential. They have reality inside, real love inside, truth. And he said, so you're chanting these names, and the seeds of the name get caught by the wind and blown around. And some of the seeds land on the roof of an old house. in the middle of the jungle. And they get stuck between the tiles on the roof of the house, okay? The seeds of the repetition of the name get stuck between the tiles on the roof of this house. And over time and seasons and wind and rain and whatever, sun, the tiles start to break down and get soft. At that point, the seeds start to take root. They start to grow. And the seeds, the roots grow and they grow and they grow. And they destroy the roof of the house. And they keep growing. And they destroy the walls of the house. Ramakrishna said the house is who we think we are. Our version of ourselves, our so-called egos, who we think we are. That's the house which is destroyed by the repetition of the name. And you know what he doesn't talk about? He doesn't talk about how it feels when you're planting the seeds. Why? Because it's irrelevant. People ask me, what do you feel when you chant? I say, how do I know? If there's a thought comes through, I just let it go. I don't write it down. I come back to the sound of the name. But the thing is, this house with the walls and the roof, then there's an inside and an outside, right? Which is all the little houses in the room here. Every one of these houses in the room has an inside and outside. That's the rest of us. My outside is all of you, your outside is everybody else. The repetition of the name dissolves those walls, and then there's open space. Nothing is lost, everything is gained. The whole universe. You recognize yourself as the whole universe, not just that what was in that little house. So you sing, you do your practice, and you live your life. That's it. And you try to treat people the way you would like to be treated. More than that is not necessary. That's enough of a job. I mean, think of how you go through the day. How many people do you treat the way you would like to be treated? No. We label everything and everyone. This one's good, this one's bad, this one's a friend, this one's an enemy, this one's bigger, smaller, this one's higher on the chain of command at work. Everything's labeled, everything so we can navigate our egoistic way through our lives. And we never notice it because everybody's doing it. So, a little bit of practice and a lot of caring for other people and oneself, and a lot of good things can happen. Okay.
Ram Ram.
Same to you.
In COVID, I talked to you, and I live in, and I was meditating, and I found myself standing in the Hanuman temple in India, Delhi. I don't know you remember or not. So then I thought, what I'm doing in Hanuman temple. So I had darshan of Hanumanji, and my dad was devotee of Hanumanji. Then when I talked to you and I found about you, you told me read Ramcharitmanas and Miracle of Love. And I'm reading Ramcharitmanas. Last year I did. Now I'm reading. I'm crying a lot because I didn't know my God is deity is Ram.
The what? What was that?
The deity, some of the family by family come, in India,
Yeah.
like my grandparents, because I was devotee of the Durga, the way I, the raise in my, have some of your personal favorite god in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I have darshan of Durga as well, I have so much spiritual, experience through. But when you told me read Ramcharitmanas, it totally changed my life. And now and every day, you know, because when I'm crying a lot when I read that Ramcharitmanas. So they say in India, and some of the guru are here, only your guru can take you to your deity, the where you go. So through you, I met Ram. And the Maharaji, you know, Hanumanji, is a Leela, you can say, you know. So I will be thankful rest of my life to you and Ramdas. And the journey, how I come from India and end up here in New York and doing kirtan. And my wife was worried because what's going on, you know? And what happened? See, I bring my father-in-law here too, do some kirtan here, you know.
He'll keep you straight.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, it's a blessing, and Maharaji too. He gave me darshan, and my wife came last year too. Me and my wife, and she said, who's sitting behind there? I said, nobody's sitting there, and she has a darshan as well. So really blessed. I'm so emotional right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
And as a guru, I really
Yeah.
Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Pranam. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Ramcharitmanas is a wonderful book. Ramdas gave me his copy to read before I went to India when I first met him. It's so beautiful. You know, Westerners, we're only programmed for one kind of love, emotional love. There's other kinds of love. And this book, which is the story of Rama, told in a very devotional way, very open, loving way, it's extraordinary. It really reprograms your heart and opens us to a different way of loving, a different kind of love. It's very amazing. Yeah, really beautiful book. Ramcharitmanas. The Manas-like lake, the mind-like lake of the stories of Ram. And every chapter is a descent deeper into the lake. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful. Tulsidas wrote that. He's the one who wrote the Hanuman Chalisa also. Yeah. Who has the mic? Okay. You got to give it 5 rupees.
Hello. I have the mic.
Hold on one second. Roll off some more lows if you can. It's a little bit difficult to hear. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, my name is Coco, and my question is, when I'm chanting, I'm usually mumbling, and I hardly know what the hell I'm saying, but I put a lot of love behind it. So if I never know exactly what I'm saying, how do I keep going forward? Because I do love it. I pretty much chant every day to you in my car, you know, driving around. So, but a lot of time I feel like I'm faking the funk.
That's called a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So,
let it
but
go.
I'm a big time mumbler.
Yeah, let it go. I don't know what these names mean.
Great answer, brother.
Yeah. The real meaning of these names is your own true nature. You know, yeah, there's a storyline with all the names. They all come from out of the stories from India, most of these names that we sing. But that's not the real meaning. The real meaning is your own soul, your own heart. And if you're feeling love, that's good. That's a nice feeling to have. Just keep chanting, you know. You want to spend the next 30 years studying about what Ram means? You can do that too. And then next life you can start chanting again. But it's up to you. And when you think, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm, that's called a thought. You let go and you come back to the sound of the name. That's the only thing. The name itself will reveal much to you, what's inside of us. We don't have to create it. All we have to do is pay attention. And as we pay attention and get closer to the sound and the feeling of the sound, things start to happen inside. You don't have to, nobody needs to tell you shit. You'll find from inside what the truth is. But don't, you're feeling good right now. Don't stop if you all of a sudden you don't feel good. You got to keep going. You have to get through that. Right now, you might be in a nice little, what do they call it? In the desert where there's a what? Oasis. Oh yeah, that's a rock group. Yeah. Yeah, you know, but then there might be some desert between now and the next oasis. So, but if you don't keep chanting, you just get stuck in the desert. So you keep going. You can always let go. That's the amazing thing. Whatever it is, you can let go. But you have to remember, oh, I can let go and come back. But we get so stuck in stuff, we believe it. Like you're practicing and then something happens in your life that's very difficult, and then you just stop practicing. And you get stuck in that stuff for X amount of time, and then it passes and you remember, oh, wait a minute, I used to do this, and you start again. But you could have kept going all through that. But it's our expectations. We're so, if we don't feel what I want to feel, then I'm not going to do this. Well, good luck, you know. So you just keep going. Always let go. But it's not easy. We're not trained to let go. We're trained on to, you know. Okay.
Jai Shri Ram, Krishna Das. It's so great to be here with you. A little bit about me. I grew up in a household where we worshipped Lord Ram, Hanuman. So grew up in a household with bhajan and kirtan. And it came from my grandmom. And today I'm here to celebrate her birthday as well with you. Her birthday was on October 2nd. And you're here, so what other good way to celebrate her birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I came to USA 7 years ago, and you know, my grandmom, she did not want me to come all this way, and the last time I saw her, she was like crying and asking me, hey, don't leave me, don't leave me. And we shared a very, very beautiful relationship. When you describe of your relationship with Maharajji, I'm just reminded of my relationship with my grandmom. So yeah, I mean, she told me, don't leave me. And then I came to USA. I'm like, no, Granny, I have to go. I have this. You know, there's so many things I want to do. And I thought I would be coming here. And, you know, time just, years flew by, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Just used to talk to her over the phone. And then eventually she lost this ability of like recognizing me, listening to me over the phone. I was with her through the video calls every day. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, I thought I would be able to go back to meet her. And then years flew by. One day, all of a sudden, I was woken up in the middle of the night with the news that she's not with us anymore. And the other beautiful, the other thing which happened was that the day I lost her, just one night prior to that, I had this dream where I saw my grandmom on her deathbed. And she had this photo, she held this photo in her hand. And she was saying that Maharajji is here to come take me. Maharajji is here to come take me. And I was just like woken up. And I knew that, you know, my grandmom is not well. I just could not comprehend what was happening at that time. And I had this very bad feeling that I'm going to lose her. And just the next day, you know, after 12, 14 hours, I got this news. I was woken up in the middle of the night with the news that she has left us. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you helped me to get through the pain of losing her. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm just kind of very curious about this experience, you know, coming here, finding you, being reminded of bhakti, and how can I just, like, you know, keep following it?
You can sit. That's how. You just have to live your life. All the seeds are in there. You just have to follow your heart. There's nothing to join. There's no rules and regulations. Just be you. Find out what that is. That's the best thing. The only thing. It sounds like your grandmother, very beautiful, and that love will always be with you. The love never goes away. Bodies come and go. That's what they do. But love never goes. We can miss the bodies, and we do for a while, but the love is really what's always here. It's okay to miss bodies. That's what they're for, to be missed. Yeah. You don't have to say it. I guess. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have my question is about your book. First,
The Bible?
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I know what book, yeah.
Yes.
Which one is that? Wait, no, that's not my book.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's in what, Spanish or Portuguese?
Português.
Ah, beleza. Portuguese.
Yes.
Very good.
My question is about, in your book, you explain your love with your guru, okay? And I don't understood who teach you be a musician. I read the book, I understand, but you studied musician where? I love first about your musician.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, you don't tell where the musician, your musician is so complex. Who teach you this?
Who taught me what?
Be a good musician.
I don't know if I am a good musician.
No, you are.
Oh, thank you. Phew. Now I know.
No, about this, use the drums, use the guitar, bass. Who?
I mean, I've always loved music. I took trumpet lessons when I was a kid. I took piano lessons for a few months. And other than that, I just listened to music and played. I taught myself guitar. You know, I don't know. You just absorb it. Nobody taught me. I mean, you know, like when we were asked to come to the Grammys, and we were asked to perform at the smaller Grammys thing, which was folk music, jazz, blues, world music. It wasn't the pop music thing. So they set us up on this rolling cart, right, off stage. And we were all sitting, me, Nina, Steve, Mark was there, right? Arjun, I think, was there. So they set us up on this platform with the speakers, the monitors, and everything, you know, and the mixers. And then we were the first performers for the. So they open it, and the guy says hello, and then and they roll us out on stage. And I looked in the front row, and Herbie Hancock, Pat Metheny, Chick Corea, and me in my little squeeze box. And I thought, am I really going to squeeze this little thing in front of those people? But once I sing, everything was okay. So, but it was a funny moment. And I never prayed so hard as I prayed later that day to lose, not to win the award, because you had to go up and make a speech in front of these people. What was I going to say? You know, I learned how to squeeze this thing in India, and now I do it in America. Thank you. Anyway. Music is very good. It pacifies the beast, but it's not enough to free you from suffering. The name is the medicine. The music is the sweet syrup that the medicine is hidden in. So we're very spoiled little babies. We don't want to take the medicine. So with the sweet syrup, we take it. And that's what it's for. Thank you. Mike's over there, yeah. You have to talk to him.
Yeah, namaskar.
Namaskar, ji.
How important is to have a guru in your life in order to get to the next level? Because I'm very skeptical, so I also read a lot or watch a lot, and what I've learned is detachment is the key thing. So,
what does that mean to you?
Means you don't really depend on anything in a people, family, life, money, anything. So
that's absolutely wrong. 100% wrong.
Yeah. So of course I'm wrong. That's why I'm here.
Well,
yeah. I'm done.
Wait a minute. I'm not sure what that means. No.
So point is,
yeah,
having a guru and then being attached to that form, right? Either
well, that's also a problem. Yeah.
That's a problem. So
yeah.
How do we is it really important to have guru, or just chanting and then maybe doing what you said, 4 things,
yeah.
Treating people with love and doing whatever you have to do is all really can help you grow. Thank you.
You're welcome, yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, detachment is love. Love for everyone equally. That's detachment. Attachment makes one person closer, another person further away, makes some foods more pleasant, some things unpleasant. That's attachment. In the third patriarch of Zen Buddhism said, the great way is not difficult for those with no preferences. So that disqualifies all of us. So, but don't think about detachment as something cold and that all of a sudden you can't care about people and the people you love, you don't love them anymore. And this is wrong. Detachment means loving all, everyone, including yourself. Okay? When you look in the mirror, you don't doubt that you see you, right? Yeah, you're looking at your guru. Because, oh, I thought it was a bird. You never know. Or a monkey. Yeah. Guru is ultimately important, yes. Nobody can make any contact, you can't advance on the path without a guru. But guru doesn't mean physical body. Absolutely does not mean that. If any of us have any desire or any longing or any capacity for spiritual practice or this we already have a guru, but the guru is inside. Guru, God, and self are not different. The body that I got attached to, that wasn't the guru, that was the body of the guru. It's like when you drive a car and it breaks down, you don't cry, you just go get a new car. Well, that's what a guru does, because gurus never identified with the body. They know who they are, they know what they are, and they know that they are one with us. And they know that they are not the body. The body is nothing to them. It's a vehicle. So you don't sit around and wait for a guru because everything you do, every thought we have is karma, is creating karma, every thought. So if you sit around waiting for a guru, you're just waiting and you're not doing anything to help yourself. So knowing that the guru lives within, not just me, but everybody, or God lives within everybody, then you start treating people that way. And then you see your attachments. You like this one better than that one. You treat this one differently than that one, right? All kinds of things. So you start working with that. And you start trying to let go of those kind of judgments. But it's very hard to let go of thoughts unless you have something to come back to, which is what we call a practice. So you either have a mantra, or of the name, or whatever mantra, or the breath, which is always there. You don't have to remember. It's always there, even when you're not paying attention. So you can always come back to the breath. The idea is to come back to you again and 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 again. And little by little, we get more comfortable and familiar what it means, what it feels like to be at home in ourselves, just to be here. It expands, it deepens, it gets richer, it juicier, it changes. It's not just like, okay, I'm here. No, I'm not here. It's not like that. Here is everywhere, but we don't know that. So here is where the Guru is also. But we identify with our bodies, so we can't imagine what's beyond the body. We can't. It's not possible, because that's where thoughts don't go. So what are you going to do? You're just going to sit around and wait, to trip and fall into somebody's lap, and then you're going to call that person a guru? No, you have to start right now, taking care of yourself, honoring your karmas, who you are, where you are, what people you have to take care of, what people you need to cherish and take care of, and what you need in your life that you don't have, and what you have that you don't need. You just start cleaning your room, like my mother used to tell me. I never did it. Now I don't do it either. But yeah, no, you don't sit around waiting for a guru. But on the other hand, without guru, a guru keeps transmitting. It's like a homing beacon. You know what a homing beacon? It's like you go up this way, oh no, it's here, and you go this, oh no, it's this way. It's like that, but it's inside. You know what you like and what you don't like. You know what you want. And if you really examine what you want, you'll start letting go of the external things and recognize what you really want is what you really want. We don't have to name it right now. And that's where you connect more deeply with the inner guru. And that's the deal, Yes, I suffered terribly because I was feeling Maharaji everywhere until I met him. Once I met him, I got totally fucked. When I met him, I fell in love with that body. But I was already in love with him before I met him. I felt him everywhere. After I met Ram Dass, I felt him everywhere. And then I met him physically, and I was like, wait a minute. How does all that fit inside that little body? I couldn't figure it out. It was like a whoosh, But that passed, and I fell in love with the body, and then I suffered when the body disappeared. But that was my karmas, because that's my emotional makeup. Other people have different relations. One time Ram Dass was sitting there, and Maharaji told Dada, who was one of his great devotees, says, go tell Ram Dass he understands me perfectly. Because Ram Dass was sitting towards the back and he was thinking, I never have to see him again. That's the thought he was having. And of course Maharaji knew that. And so he had Dada go tell him he understands me perfectly. So it's like that. We have this romantic thing, we want to find a guru, we want to fall in love, but that's just bullshit. That's us once again looking for something outside of ourselves. Guru is not outside, never has been outside, couldn't be outside. Within your life, within your heart, within your being is Guru. So there's nothing to wait for. Go ahead, right? Where's the mic? Anybody?
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Diana.
Hello, Diana.
First, I want to say thank you.
I want to say you're welcome.
And so Spotify did this really fun thing last year at the end of the year where it gave you all your, your most played song and all that stuff. And you took the big win for 542 hours of listening to Krishna Das.
You did? You did?
Yes.
Let's give her a hand. Come on, everybody. Yeah,
542 hours.
I don't even listen to me that much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It was a tough year, so every morning I had made a whole playlist of your chants, and you have talks just like these from 2012, 2013. And I would just listen to them every morning and listening to all the stories over and over. And every time, I heard the stories so many times.
Well, think about how many times I heard them.
And so I just, thank you for being who you are. And through that time, I realized that, right, because you say a lot in the talks how it's not you, you're not doing anything.
Don't believe me.
But you're this conduit, right? Like you're the and I finally awoken to the awareness of the presence of, oh, it's Maharaji. Like that's what I'm feeling. Like that's what I'm connecting to by listening to this. So I came to that awareness. So
cool. Very good.
Last year, I came and I got here late, and I walked in and you were telling one of my favorite stories of this time that you were traveling to go and see Maharaji. I think it was in Vrindavan. I think he said something like, well, I'll see you in Vrindavan. And you finally get there, you got detoured, and then you finally get there and you go in and you're like, oh, has Maharaji been here? And you're like, no, he hasn't been here in months. And it was, oh, this is bad.
You're going to tell the whole story, and
then
then you're going to ask me to tell the fucking story after you told it?
No, it leads to something very good. So,
okay.
Then he...
Surprise me. I was there, but surprise me.
I know,
yeah,
but the story is about how he arrives at the moment of despair.
Yes,
right?
I know.
Like the timing. And how he would do that all the time, like how it was play all the time,
Yeah.
Like he would tell Ram Dass, like, get rid of anger and I'll help you, but then orchestrate all these things to get Ram Dass to be angry.
Yeah,
right?
It didn't take much.
So the next day, I have you on in the morning again, and I'm cleaning my apartment, and I'm going through trying to give up.
I'm cleaning music now. Okay, very good. Thank you.
I'm trying to give up sweets, right? I have a thing with cookies, and I like.
So do I. How are you going to give up sweets if I can't give up sweets?
Well, so
okay.
You're talking about willpower in the talk that was on.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, you know what? And I have this cookie, and I'm just in my mind the whole time I'm cleaning. I'm like, I really want to eat this fucking cookie, And finally, I give into it. And the moment the cookie hits my mouth, you say on the talk, no more sugar. At that exact moment, as I'm about to eat the cookie, and I look up and I go, Maharaji, I know that you're here and you're playing with me right now, but I'm still going to eat this cookie.
Very good.
So I just wanted to share that because I'm so grateful for the stories, right? I'm so grateful for the stories. And for it to, again, awaken in me this play, this Leela, and that he's always here orchestrating and in those moments. And that was my first direct moment of understanding of, oh, right, timing.
Cool.
So
Very
thank
nice.
you. I just really want to share
you.
that story with you.
Do you know that story that she's talking about? Yeah. I'll tell you. So we were in Allahabad and at Dada's house, and Ram Dass had arrived recently. Well, he'd come to Bodh Gaya first, and then we went later. He had been on tour with Swami Muktananda, and he had come to India for his second visit with Swami Muktananda. And then he came up to find Maharaji. While he was with Swami Muktananda, he had been invited to do this pilgrimage with him in South India, and he agreed to do that. So now he said to Maharaji, he said, you know, I told Swami Muktananda I would do this pilgrimage with him, but I really don't want to go. Do I have to go? Maharaji said, you said you would go, you have to go. So me and Ramesh and Dwarka and somebody, I think there's, and Ramdas, we all took off. And Maharaji, as we were leaving, Maharaji says, I'll meet you in Vrindavan. So we left Allahabad, and on the way south, we stopped in Vrindavan, but he wasn't there. So we continued on to the south for about, I don't know, 3 weeks maybe a month, I don't know, traveling around. It was fun. And so now we're heading up north. And we decided we would go to Vrindavan because that's where Maharaji said he would meet us. So we drive up north, and we finally get close to Vrindavan, but it's nighttime. And so we stayed just outside of town in Krishna's birthplace. There was a little dharamsala. And in the morning, we got up and we drove to Vrindavan on the way to the temple. I was driving, and I missed a turn. It was a right turn on the road that goes around Vrindavan. It's called the Parikrama Marg. It goes around. And as a result of missing that turn, we got stuck in the bazaar in the morning with cows and carts and people, and it was so crazy. A narrow little road like this, and we were like, you know. So it took 15 minutes to get back to the spot where I missed the turn, and then the temple was right there. So we get to the temple, we go inside, and we ask the pujari, you know, Maharaji here? No, we haven't heard from him in months. We have no idea where he is. Oh, really? This was bad news. You know, there were no phones, no cell phones. Even the landlines never worked. You had telegrams. That's how people communicated important things. So somebody would know where Maharaji was. They would telegram people, and everybody would start showing up, you know. So what are we going to do? Well, let's go to Delhi. Maybe they know where he is there. We'll go to this guy's house. And so we go back to the car, and I was suicidal. I mean, I was like so depressed. I just couldn't believe we don't know where he is. We'll never find him. And I put the key in the ignition, and I'm just about to turn the key, and this little Fiat screeches to a halt right next to the car. And I look, and in the passenger seat is Maharaji. And he's right here. He gets out of the car, and he doesn't even look at us. And he goes right into the temple. He didn't even look at us. We're just like, and he goes into the temple. It was, ha. So we go in, and we had 3 beautiful days with him. Nobody else was there. They hadn't found out he was there yet. So we had a couple of 3 days, really great. Many years later, like 20 years later, I was with this guy, one of his great devotees named Gurudat Sharma. And he says to me, you remember that day that the car, we arrived with Maharaji? I was also in that car. I said, yeah, I forgot, yeah. He said, I'll tell you the story, he said. So the night before, they were in Kanpur or Lucknow, some town that's quite far away. And all the devotees were asleep in this big room, big living room. And in the middle of the night, Maharaji tiptoed around everybody, and he tried to wake Gurudat up, but he couldn't wake him up. So he picked him up, and he threw him over his shoulder, and he carried him out to the car and put him in the back of the car. And then they took off in the middle of the night. And Gurudat wakes up at some point, and he goes, what? You know, where am I? So Gurudat said, Maharaji kept telling the driver, go faster, all night long, faster, faster. And the guy's driving in the night, you know, the roads, you can't see, there's no lights, you can't see anything. You know, faster, faster. just outside of Vrindavan. He said, stop. And he pulls over. And Guru Das said, I thought it was a peace stop. But he just sat there for 15 minutes. And then he goes, Jello, let's go, faster, faster, go like this. And he arrived just as I'm about to turn the key. Now, I don't know. If that's not enough to crack your mind, nothing will ever be enough. So we might as well give up. Good night. I mean, come on, he did that on purpose. Okay, so he did it on purpose. He could do anything, but why would he do that? Just to kill us. We were in our moment of such despair. I can't describe it to you. We've been rolling around this, you know, with Muktananda and just dreaming of getting back to Maharaji. And then he's not there. We'll never find him. He could be anywhere. Sometimes he just disappeared for months. He'd go out of the temple and said, oh, I'll be back later. 3 months later, you know. So that's the story that she was talking about. And that was the time that that Maharaji took the acid for the second time. That's a good story. But you don't want to hear that. Okay. Twist my arm. Go ahead. So we're sitting there with Maharaji. And he looks at Ram Das and he said, when you were in India last time, did you give me medicine? Ram Das said, yes. Did I take it? I think so. Now you see, the backstory is, the first time, you know, Ram Das met Maharaji, the second day, he asked him for the medicine, and he took enough acid to put a horse on the moon, and nothing happened. So that was really big for Ram Das. But when he came back to America after that, he told everybody this story. And some people would say, come on, he scammed you. He threw it over his shoulders. And nobody could take that much. Now, Ram Das didn't think so. But there really was a little bit of doubt in his mind. So when Maharaji says, did I take it? Ram Das said, yes, I think so. Oh, got any more? Yes. Give it to me. So Ram Das holds out 4 hits of Sandoz, or Owsley acid, the best acid you could ever get. Maharaji goes like this. He takes a pill, he goes, four times. And then he sits there for a minute and he says, can I drink water? Hot water? Cold water? Bring me water. So he drank some water. Then after a couple of minutes, he takes his blanket and he pulls it up over his head. And then he opens it up and he goes like, he closes it in like this. I have never seen a purple human being before. Ram Das actually turned purple right next to me. And he thought, oh my God, he didn't take it the first time. He knew he was trying to prove he could do it, and now I've killed my guru, you know, and he was like, he totally lost his mind. The minute he thought it, Maharaji just laughed and said, he lied. This is nothing. For a yogi, poisons can't affect him. This used to grow up in the Kulu Valley, you know, and he said, no problem, like that. It was just like, he said, yogis would go, they would calm their minds down and their bodies and bring their mind to one point. Then they would take the soma and go through the door. You see, if the mind is all over the place and you take these chemicals, you just like, it's like a crapshoot. Anything could happen. You go everywhere, all these things. But when your mind is at one point, to bring the mind to one point is not easy. You can't just put your mind somewhere and it'll stay there. Our own desires, the habits of thinking, the way we treat ourselves, our storylines, our whole lives are in that moment. And if it's not harmonized, you can't do it. It doesn't happen. And when your whole life is in harmony, and your energy and prana is in harmony, and you place your mind there and take the soma, you go through the door. But it's a very narrow door. So essentially, Ashtanga Yoga is a manual for taking the soma. That'll get me in a lot of trouble. But that's what he said. Yama, yama, yama niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, whatever it is, I don't know all that shit. But you calm the body, the mind, the body, the breath, then you bring the mind to one point. And then you go through the door and you have samadhi. And that's all those things. So, anybody got any acid? I think if I took acid now, my arms and legs would fall off. I'm just like, it's weird. Ram Dass was thinking about taking a hit. He got out of the hospital. He almost died in the fucking hospital. He comes home and he says, I think I'll take some mushrooms. What? We didn't let him do it. And that wasn't too long before he left, huh? He loved the hospital. He loved the hospital. He was so happy in the hospital, lying in bed, getting taken care of. All the nurses and doctors were coming to see him. It was just great. He was giving darshan in the hospital bed. So happy. He didn't want to leave.
Hi, KB.
Where are you?
I'm all the way over here.
Oh,
Nice to
yeah.
see you. Fancy meeting you here.
Thanks for waking me up.
So I became a member of the Kirtan Posse in January, so maybe everybody else knows this. It's more of a curiosity than a philosophy question. I've noticed you put something in your mouth before you start singing, and I'd love to know what it is.
Yeah, LSD.
I got a bet with my husband here, so.
It's called Ricola. It's good for your throat.
Awesome.
But it'll rot your teeth, so brush your teeth if you use it.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now I know. Maybe I should have never asked.
Maybe not. Oh, what a day. Anybody else? Where are you? I don't know. Oh, hi. Who's got the mic? Somebody have the mic?
Yes.
Where are you? Oh, back there. Okay, we'll get
Hello. Kind of a follow-up on the young Orthodox Jewish lady's question.
Okay.
Why do you think Maharaji, and I know you didn't proselytize, but why do you think he encouraged you to follow his cultural way?
He didn't.
I know you'll say that, but somehow it happened that you're in his way. And I know you know his love for Jesus.
Yeah.
And your appreciation of the Baal Shem Tov or Rumi. And it could have been any of those cultural paths, but it wasn't.
Could have been, but it wasn't.
Why?
I don't know.
And have you ever had 50 years, any struggle that maybe you weren't on the right cultural, spiritual path? Is my question.
Yeah, thanks. But I don't see it as a cultural path at all. It's totally personal. My relationship with Maharaji is just me and him. We were in India, so we wanted Indian names, so he was kind enough to give us names. But he didn't make us Hindus. We're not Hindus. He didn't initiate me. I don't have a thread. I never did any ceremony making me a Hindu. I'm not a Hindu. I'm a human being, hopefully. I'm working on it, let's put it that way. So as far as the cultural thing, that's not relevant to me. Since you're asking me, I'm telling you how I feel about it. I see all the different religions and paths as useful and leading to the same goal. It's just a question of what you like. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. It's not a big thing. It's natural. I was always attracted to India right from day one. I always wanted to go there. And from a very early age. I felt very pulled to that. And just must have been some kind of memory or something. But I don't know why, other than that. It's not exclusive of anything. You know, it's not. Maharaji had devotees from all different religions. Christians come to see him, Muslims would come to see him, Sikhs would come to see him. People who didn't believe anything would come to see him. I mean, he was open to everybody. There was no requirements, you know. And like somebody was saying with grandmother before, he used to say, when you come here to the temple, you should feel like you're coming to your grandfather's house. Everything is given. You don't have to do seva to eat. You just come. Everything, whatever you want. And that's the way it felt. It wasn't a Hindu temple for us. It was his house. You know, it was where he lived. And so that's why we were there. Yeah, there were rituals that were going on, but they were nice, but they weren't our main thing. You know, our main thing was hanging out with him. So, okay? Is that okay? I mean, you know, there isn't more to it than that. It's not like there's some secret meaning in anything. It's just me and him. It was a personal relationship. It is a personal relationship. I remember once I was watching TV late at night, and one of those infomercials came on, you know? You know who Tom Landry was? He was the first big coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Big football coach, big well-known guy. So he comes on this infomercial and he asked me through the television if I wanted a personal relationship with God. Yeah. He said, just call this number, 1-800-GOD. So I called the number and I gave him my credit card number and I never got the fucking book. Can you believe it? I believe it. Personal relationship with the credit card company. But yeah, Maharaji didn't program us like that. It was all open and free. He didn't force us to be anything. We didn't wear the same clothes. We didn't even like each other, you know. Really, little cliques in the group, you know, we don't like those people. So. Yeah. Where's the mic? Okay.
Hello, my name is Arsh, and I would like to thank you first for...
Hold the mic a little closer.
For introducing me to the love of God and Maharaji. My question is, what should one follow? Should one follow the mind, which is a little bit more practical, but always fills us with regret of not following our heart, or follow the heart that is more rebellious and more is a little impractical?
There's not two things going on inside of you. There's just you. Figure out who you are and figure out what you want and go for it. It's not, are you two different things? You talk to yourself in different languages every day? No. Today I'll be Indian. Tomorrow I'll be American. And I'll do this. Mm-hmm. It's just you. So don't panic. Calm your ass down. Relax. Life is going to happen whether you like it or not. So just be with it and see where it takes you and follow your heart, which means not as opposed to the mind. The mind is where that interprets the feelings that arise. But your intuition, what makes you happy? And combination of what makes you happy and what you have to do, your responsibilities. You have to find some way to live inside of both of those things at the same time. There's people up here in front who have questions. Where's the mic? Oh, he's over there already. All right.
Pranam Krishnadas, thank you for just having us all here. And I just want to thank everybody who's here. yesterday evening when everybody was singing and you were singing, I felt that everybody is singing for me to get deeper inside me. And it was just magical. And I cannot express in words. So just want to thank you. The question I have is that I always feel scared of death, all the time. And
I'm sorry, you missed that. What's that? You always
feel scared of death.
scared of death?
Death.
Uh-huh.
And the more I sit with myself, the more I realize death is the only reality and it will come to me, my dear ones whom I love. And I just don't know how to deal with that emotion and constant fear of death.
Wait till you get old. Then you really get scared. I don't know. It sounds like you're more afraid of life than death, actually. And you're using that to just kind of shut yourself down.
I don't know.
I don't know either. How will I know? It's you. But, I mean, you know it's inevitable, right, for everybody. Everybody in this room is going to die. Probably. Yeah, you see? Everybody's going to go. So there's no sense even thinking about it. Just live every day. Make every day the best day of your life, though. Because sometime come, you won't be able to tell the people you love that you love them anymore. So take the opportunity now to live fully. You know, this is the shot you have.
Yeah.
So you might as well take it, right? And death is of the physical body. We identify with that, so it seems like a big thing to us because we identify, we think we are our bodies, our minds, our emotions. So if the body's gone, then we're gone. What a surprise it's going to be that when the body goes, we'll still be here. At night when you're sleeping, you're not aware of your body, but you're quite aware. You're living in dreams, and that seems totally real to you, right? If you die in a dream, you'll weep and cry if somebody dies in a dream, and then you wake up, oh, it's just a dream. Well, they say this is a dream too. The one we're stuck in, just like at night. That's totally real to you when you dream, right? So if we wake up from this, we say, oh, I really thought that was real? It's just a dream. It doesn't make it unimportant. It doesn't mean we don't do the best we can. It doesn't mean we don't live the best way we can. It doesn't mean we don't treat people well, don't treat ourselves well. But there's a quality about it. It's always changing. But inside of all that change, there's a thing in us that's very real, our own true nature. Who you really are is not the dream. It's not the experiences we have in our daily lives. But in order to become more aware of that, one has to do something. One has to look. You know, it's not. Like I told you the story at the very beginning about that old Baba, the old yogi. Krishna came to him and said, "Come play with me in Vrindavan." So he dropped the body and went to play with Krishna. The body is nothing for him. These great beings, they're not like us. We think this is real. You know, we really do. So if this is real, if this is our shot, if this is what we have, then maybe we should do the best we can. Right? Right now. Maybe we should try to overcome those kind of fears and really live and really give ourselves to life and really open up and be with the people we love and share that love with them, and so we won't have regrets when we take our last breath. Right? When you take your last breath, you're gonna, oh fuck, I was so scared of this, I didn't do shit all that time. And I wanted to watch television, and I never did. I was too afraid. But you don't want that. You want to live now. And that's how you go through the day. That's important. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to say about that, but the main thing is the quality of your life. You're responsible for that. So if we allow ourselves to be paralyzed by fear of one thing or another, it could be death, it could be life, it could be, you might be afraid to cross the street, all kinds of things. It behooves us to work with that stuff, you know, because we can. You can. You don't have to be a victim of that stuff. That's some program that's running in there, you know, some storyline that we get caught in. It doesn't have to be like that. We have the power within to overcome those kind of things and learn to let go of them and live good lives. Despite the fact that it's true, everybody's going to die, but what do? You just like stop eating now? No, you can't. We're impelled by our life situation to keep going on. So we should try to go on the best way we can. Whatever that means to you, because that's what you have to find. What does that mean? Yeah, you might live to be 3 million years old. You go like, shit, when I was 40, I was so scared. Now I'm 3 million, I'm still here. I wasted so much time. Right? It depends, you know. On the other hand, there's meditation practices where you meditate on the dissolution of the body. You visualize the blood and the pus and the goo and the grime and the slime as it disintegrates and gets eaten by bacteria and worms, and this is what brings real love to your heart. But that's the advanced practice. So yeah. You can get a vote as to how you go through the day. But you have to, don't try to push the fear away. Be with it. See where it is, see where it comes from. Be with it, it'll go away. It's just, it's a trip your karmas are running on you, but you don't have to be tricked by that. Good luck.
Pranam Krishna Das, thank you for your grace.
You're related to her?
Yes.
No two questions from one family.
But as you said, spirituality is personal. It's not a family relationship.
Okay.
I've started meditating and questions are dropping from inside. But still I would like to know, the more I read about Ram Dass and you, I feel that you both are very different personalities, and your journeys have been very different in spirituality. He seems to be more of a meditative kind of a person, and you more of have a surrender and love. Just want to know your views on it. Like, how do you see your journey and Ram Dass's journey? Any interesting stories that in the difference between your journey and his journey would be also, like, I would love to hear.
And he's a lot smarter than I am, that's for sure. But the journey was the same. It's a journey of surrender into Maharaji. No different. He talked a lot, I sing a lot. That's the only difference. We're both devotees of Maharaji, and both of us, we want to be in that love all the time. Same thing. He's older, not just physically. I mean, you feel he's more expansive in a way. Maharaji looked at him one day and said, Ram Dass, you're the commander-in-chief. Krishnadas, you're the general. Okay, so he's the commander-in-chief. So but when it came to loving Maharaji, it was he really, especially in those last years, he really melted into him beautifully, really. One time, every once in a while he gets stuck in his head, you know. One time, on Monday mornings, they went to the beach where he was able to get in the water and be free of the weight of the body. 20 years in a wheelchair. Ugh, very difficult. So he would get in the water with these tubes and floats and be free from the body weight. So I would catch up with them later in the day because I sleep late. And so I get to the beach, and I'm walking towards the beach, and I see he's sitting in a car in the edge of the parking lot. So I walked over, and the door was open by his seat. And he was just stewing. He was just like, just sitting there like that. So I stood there for a minute, and he looked over at me. He goes, I'm a fake. And you're a fake too. So I just looked at him and I said, yeah, but we're real fakes. He just lost it. It was great. So, about Ram Dass, because he's American and Western, he was a saint. He really was. He was really, he was a lotus that grew out of the mud. And yeah, there was a lot of mud, but he grew out of that mud. It was very beautiful. But we have I remember when my friends were going up to see him for the first time, and they asked me, did I want to see this guy, Richard Alpert, who's now Ram Dass? I said, no. American yogis, what do I care about that? Once an asshole, always an asshole. So there you go. Hare Ram. Anybody? Where's the mic? Oh, okay.
How would you describe your experience of this stuff?
Of what?
This stuff, Maharaji, your time in India, between coming back from India and having the the experience, the idea that you wanted to sing with people. I've always been curious about how these teachings felt to you in that time in between.
I was suicidal a lot of the time. Very depressed, very unhappy. Because being with Maharaji, I experienced love in a way I had never experienced it before. And I got attached to his body. So when the body wasn't there, where was I going to find that love? I wasn't going to find it anywhere. I had lost it, and it was gone. Ultimately gone. There was no second coming. It was over. It was brutal for me. It took me a long time. And then they saved me. I couldn't save myself. They saved me. He came back to me and opened me up again. I was helpless. I'm still helpless. I just look like I'm not. I can't do shit. It's all them. I can sing a little bit. That's it. They saved me. In 1984, was it 1984, yeah, in 1995. No, 1980, no, something, some year around there. It's in my book. The whole story. He came back and he opened me up, and that was like being born again. He's like, okay, let the kid live. But I was helpless. I really was. I couldn't do it. There was nobody in my family, my life, there was nobody doing anything. I had no examples of anybody taking care of themselves. It was really bleak for a lot of years. And the suffering that I caused other people because I was so unhappy was also terrible. But I couldn't help myself. What can I say? Then they just boom, and then it all changed. And it's not like, I'm not saying I deserve that. That would be ridiculous. Grace is grace. Nobody deserves grace, or it wouldn't be grace. It would be something you earned. But grace is causeless. It just happens. And it happened. And I happened to be there. So here we are. That's the deal. So when I say it's difficult to get this together and do something that's actually good for ourselves, I mean it. It's difficult. It's very hard to overcome the flow of stupidity that we call life. You know, bouncing off of this, bouncing off of that, day after day, never waking up, never taking care of ourselves, never going after the things we want. That's what we do. Oh, this is terrible. I apologize. What to do? You push a button, you get what you get. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah. Oh, wait, you don't have the microphone. You can't talk.
The mic happens to be here.
You'll get it, okay? Just wait your turn.
Okay.
Where's the mic? Ah, hello.
Hi. Could you speak a bit more about the context when Maharaji shared courage is a real big thing?
Let me just say one thing about that whole rant I just did. Even all through that, the longing to be in his presence was fiercely, deeply intense. It never went away for a second. So, I'm just saying, it's not like I was just sitting around fucking off. I was burning with longing, and he came. Okay? Yeah.
You have been sharing Maharaji saying courage is a real big thing. Can you talk a bit more about that?
What don't you understand? I mean, if there was a simple statement, that's it. You know, when he said that to me, the Indian guy said, "Oh, Baba, God takes care of his devotees." Courage. It's a really big thing. Sometimes it's all you just have to go for it.
Okay, how did you collect it and just, how did you take the leap?
I didn't, you know. Every time I was just about to step off the cliff, he'd move the cliff. You know, but what could I do? I was just fucking up day after day after day. Every time I fuck up, he unfuck it. But you just got to go fuck up. You can't do anything else. You want it, go for it. That's the thing. One of the things that happened was when I was with that young Baba, the 163-year-old guy, one day he looked at me and he said, he made this face and he goes, you have to develop willpower. And I thought to myself, willpower? What do I need that for? Then he made a bigger face because he knew my thought. He heard it. And then he did something and he showed me what he was seeing in me. And then I made a face because I saw me and I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going after the things I wanted in life. I was just floating. And then I saw, this is just my life, you know. This is not like worldly life and spiritual life. It's just me, and I'm not doing shit. How do I expect something to happen in this world if it's not happening, if I'm not going after stuff? And I thought, you know, willpower, you want something, you want the ice cream in the freezer. So your hand, your arm, your will picks up your arm, you open the door, you take the ice cream and you throw it in your face, you know? You desire, and the will, the word for willpower is Ichha Shakti, the power to realize your desires. So why wouldn't you do that? Courage. You need courage. That's what he was telling me. I wasn't doing it. And that's what he said. You need courage to go after the things you want. Nobody can do it for you. That's the good news and the bad news. Get that guy in the back before he has a conniption. What a word is conniption, right? That's a great word. Huh? I haven't heard that since I said it last time, 40 years ago. Hi.
Hello, my name is...
Yeah.
My name is Yaniel, and...
Just a little closer, that's all.
No. And I want to ask for a moment of silence for 250 people who just got killed in Israel in the last day, 1,500 wounded from the attacks of the Hamas. Not only in Israel, all over the world, people get wounded, people get killed. So I would ask for a moment of silence for the memory. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Katie. I've been listening to you since COVID, and you've brought me a lot of comfort, particularly your personal stories, because I feel like I really relate to some of the despair and difficulty that you've had bringing yourself into a space of more peace and awareness. And yeah, I think I was just wanted to ask if you, other than chanting the name, if you have any other suggestions for someone who's working as actively as possible to develop more of that kind of awareness. Thanks.
You just follow your heart as best you can to lead you back to yourself. Maharaji never encouraged us to do practice for our own sake. He never encouraged us to do practice at all. He said, we asked him, how do you find God? He said, serve people. What? How do you raise Kundalini? Feed people. What? He never encouraged us to think about ourselves. But all we do is think about ourselves. So, don't. How not? Well, that's where practice comes in. All we do is think about ourselves all life long. And then we dream about ourselves. And then we take another body and do it again. So now we're here, we have some idea of what we're doing to ourselves. So let's do something else. Let's look into this a little bit. How do you want to go through your life? What do you want to feel? And how to overcome all the things that prevent us from having that love and living in that love. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. It's not like you have to manufacture the love. The love is always here. We just have to stop turning away from it. We have to look towards it. And it's inside already. But it's all the stories, all that stuff we cover it up with, which we believe totally. Much more than we believe the love is there. We believe all the stories, which is why we never get underneath them, why we can't let go. So when you're chanting, you're asked to do one thing, chant. You can't. You're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. Okay, then you come back for a millisecond. Then you're gone again. Then you come back for a millisecond. Then you're gone again. Then a week later you come back for a millisecond. Then you're gone again. Every time you come back, the neural pathways in the brain get a little deeper. And theoretically, it gets a little easier. You just keep coming back again and again, and little by little, we get more familiar with what it means to be here. And then we look out at the world and we see other people. And we see how hard it is for me to get this together, how hard it must be for them. And then you start to feel some kindness and compassion for others. And then you're thinking about yourself less, so you feel better. And it's a cycle. And then it becomes easier to help other people because you're thinking about them and not yourself. And you see what people do to themselves. You don't see that until you see what you do to yourself. So, little by little. Ram Dass used to say how the stroke saved him. you know, very hard. He suffered terribly. He never complained. But he used to say how the stroke saved him. He had this core of stuff he just could not get to. And it was pushing him around and keeping him in not the best place. But when he had the stroke, he had no option. There was no escape. It was over. The door was closed. He couldn't do anything for himself. He couldn't eat. He couldn't turn himself in bed anymore. He couldn't get from the chair to the wheelchair. Couldn't wipe his own ass. He couldn't do anything. He had to surrender again and again, more and more. And he kept surrendering, and he found Maharaji. Without this stroke, that wouldn't have happened for him. And he knew it. And at first he used to say, it was fierce grace. Maharaji stroked him. But when he went to India, the only time he went after the stroke, Siddhima immediately said to him, Ram Das, Maharaji didn't give you the stroke. He would never do anything like that. The stroke is your karmas. What he gives you is the grace and the strength to overcome the effects of those karmas and really enter into a deeper space. And he did. He was a real hero. I don't have the mic. Don't look at me.
Hello.
Where are you? Ah, hi.
I have a question to you about psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe this is an eligible tool for spiritual growth?
I believe I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for psychedelics. I took peyote after my junior year in high school, and it totally ruined my life. Because I couldn't get any more. It showed me, you know, I had no doubt what I was experiencing was infinitely more real than Long Island. So it wasn't that big a jump, you know. But there's no doubt that psychedelics can give you a glimpse into different dimensions, but do they destroy the karmas that create your own suffering? I don't think so. Maharaji himself said, the yogi medicine, LSD, brings you into the room with Christ, but you can't stay. If you don't mind keep getting thrown out on your ass, then keep doing it. But eventually you'll want to stay in the room. And the way to do it, he said, is love. So he's very clear about that. He wasn't judgmental about it. In fact, he told Raghu to give it to his father when he was there. Give him a dose of the yogi medicine. And it changed his life. And, you know, that's all I can say. I mean, I think it can be useful. It can show those of us who are totally locked into the physical, emotional, mental reality that there's other realities. But can you stay there? I don't think so. Even if you dose yourself every day, sooner or later, your body will fall apart, and that'll be that. And you have to start again somewhere. So the question is, does it destroy the root of suffering? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think it's no. I don't think it does. But that's what I know. I don't know. Ram Das, I'm pretty sure he would agree with me. He was on acid when he had the stroke. And because he was on acid, he didn't realize he had a stroke. He had taken the acid and he said, okay, now I have to write a book on aging. let me imagine that I'm old. And he took the stroke, and he took the acid, and he was, you know, and then while he was on the acid, he had a stroke. But he had stopped taking his blood pressure medicine before that. So his blood pressure went through the roof, and he had a stroke. That's karma. He stopped taking the medicine. He was going to start Chinese medicine, but he never did. And the days went by, boom, boom, boom. So, sometimes karmas just make us do things that we don't even realize what we're doing. We think we know what we're doing, but we don't. We don't realize the results of our actions, what they could be. Of course, how do we? But like Maharaji said, for a yogi, no poison can affect him. He was beyond those things. He was beyond those states. Maharaji was. So he knew what he was talking about. And that's what he said. He can bring you into the room with Christ. That sounds good, but you can't stay. That sounds bad. If you want to stay, the way it is love. That sounds good. So that's the deal, as far as I can tell. But I think, you know, this microdosing thing, I think it's probable that it can be helpful disentangling some of the knee-jerk emotional issues that we have. Maybe it can give insight into some of those things which would free you from some of that stuff. But who knows in the long run what it does. I found that it crippled my will without realizing it. I mean, of course I was dosing myself every day. I would take peyote all week, and then in the weekends I would hit myself with 1,000 mics of Sandoz acid and just be 36 hours in bliss. And I was lying on my bed one day, kind of coming back and just gazing out the window. I felt something coming towards me. What is this? Coming closer and closer. What is this? What? Oh no, a thought. And then I was thinking. And then it was leaving. Don't go, don't go, don't. And then some time later, no, you know, slowly, more quickly, and then all there was a flow of thought again. I was back. I was down. It was amazing. Yeah.
Hi, Katie.
Oh, hi.
I'm wearing my Foreigner shirt for you. I Want to Know What Love Is was my mom's favorite song, so when you were singing that, I love it. And I'll make this really quick. When I found it, I went into this like music store in Nyack, and I had seen it somewhere else, and then I saw a guitar that was named where I lived in Laurel Canyon, and I had recently lost my home in Laurel Canyon to mold, which is part of where my question's gonna go. And then the guy in the store, we somehow wound up talking, and he's like, did all these paintings of rock stars, and then he had like a painting of Neem Karoli Baba. So I had to go back and get the shirt of Foreigner because it all linked to me that day. But I had recently lost my home from mold, like my dream home.
Oh, wow.
And I left, I came back here. My dad's here. He's having health issues. Basically, my question is, what do you do when you feel like you lost everything? Like I've heard you describe it as it's all like burning away. It feels like that. And you're in just like an anxiety of, like so much anxiety with a transition. And I do my practice. I've been chanting with you for years, every Thursday. I've studied yoga. I'm a martial artist. I have tools, but the anxiety is like so strong. So that's, if you have any advice.
Yeah. There's a really interesting book by a Tibetan Lama. His name is Mingyur Rinpoche. And the book is called The Joy of, what is it? Living? Joy of Living? Yeah, Joy of Living. And he describes how, as a child, he was having these incredible panic attacks, paralyzing attacks. And he was recognized as a reincarnated Lama, like at 3, and treated like a prince his whole life. But he was having these panic attacks. And he writes very beautifully about how he worked with it, how he overcame them, and maybe I think that'll help you. There's a lot of those issues, very deep, very hard to deal with because they're so knee-jerky. You don't think about, they hit you, you know, and how to deal with that underlying anxiety, that fear. But sometimes chanting and practice is not enough, you know. Sometimes you have to go talk to somebody who has a way of helping you through getting a relationship with it, learning about it. Finding space with it is a very big thing. The Lama talks about that. Very good. There's no quick button to push. This is this moment. And one of the things he says is that it wasn't so much the panic attack itself, it was the fear about the panic attack that was more paralyzing in a way. So there's a lot to be said about this, and there are people who really deal with this thing. So I would, whatever is going to help you, go for it. You know, don't just say, I'm a yogi, I don't do that shit. You know, the therapist can be a yogi who does that shit. So it might be good. So you can't meditate yourself away. You know, you want to get here. And on the way here, there's all kinds of obstacles. And one of these obstacles is your anxiety. So there's so many ways to deal with these things. But one of the lamas I studied with talks about the handshake practice. So when you feel that anxiety coming on, you go, oh, hi. How you doing? I know you, don't you? You were here just yesterday, right? Yeah. Well, you want some tea? Come on in, you know, have a seat. What's up, you know? And the minute you see it, you're already, you know, not in it the same way. But that kind of practice, you have to be right on it, you know. Once it hits you, like anger or fear or shame, when those things hit you and you're in it, there's very little you can do except suffer until it decides to go. But if you can catch it early enough, oh, hi, yeah, that's you? Okay, yeah, I know you. Yeah, you were just here, fuck you, come back, you know. Here, have a seat. And then you lose some of your fear about it, you know, because not only are you have the anxiety, but you have anxiety about anxiety. And that just like, you know, that's a double whammy. So. When are we supposed to stop this torture? This has been a very unusual afternoon, I have to tell you. I'm not cranky, but I don't know what I am today. Anyhow, where's the mic? And there's another way to deal with this. Sitting in the back of the room is David Nichtern, who has a Dharma Moon meditation organization, and they teach and train in mindfulness and meditation. Very good organization, good practice, good teaching, and you can look that up, dharmamoon.com, and they know how to share that practice and how to open it up for you. And the mindfulness practice is a very powerful practice. And they're very good at teaching that and sharing that. So if you're interested in that, you can go to dharmamoon.com.
Hello.
Where are you?
Hi.
Ah, you got the mic. How'd you do that?
I have to write this down because I'm really nervous.
You what?
Sometimes people have come into my life if I'm doing hobbies or I'm doing my volunteer work, and I start getting a feeling of insecurity, like this feeling that I'm going to be replaced for whatever the reason. And it's a very overwhelming feeling in real time, even though I have a practice. And but it feels like I'm sinking in quicksand. It gets so overwhelming. And my question was, when you were in the presence of Maharaji and his devotees, and probably a lot of people coming and going, and searching for his attention, did you ever have an insecurity like that? Or know of people who had insecurities like that? And if you did, what were some tools you did to overcome them?
Why do you think I tell people not to quit their day jobs? I don't want any competition. I'm going to take my job. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to apply that, one part of your question to the Maharaji thing. I mean, that was, we weren't insecure. We would kill anybody who got between us and his feet. I mean, you know, like, fighting, you know, to get there. But that wasn't insecurity. That was just lust. Lust for the feet of the guru. And he would just laugh. He'd say, I have the keys to the mind. I could turn your minds against me. Don't do that, you know. He'd say, I'll transfer you. Transfer ho jayega. No, Baba, don't do that. And he would laugh. But he did. He transferred every single one of us back to America, wherever we came from. What to do? I don't know what that has to do with job security. You know, I'm not quite getting that connection. You want to help me with that?
Smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
In my it happens in things that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to go scuba diving.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people that come along.
There's not enough water?
There's not enough water, exactly. Or it's I do a lot of volunteer work that is.
There's always somebody to help. Don't worry about it. You can help me. I need help.
Yeah. I feel replaced. I feel like somebody comes along and that spotlight is on them. And I don't find where I fit anymore. And it makes me avoid doing the things that I love to do. It makes me avoid doing service work because I certainly don't want to do service work if it brings harm or if I bring such a thing to serving people. I don't want to do that. And I don't know how to overcome it.
You know, I really don't know what to tell you. I mean, other than the usual thing, you got to have courage. If you don't do what you don't want, if you don't do what you want to do, then what? You know. But there's something in you that's giving you a hard time. It's not from the outside. It's, you know, some version of yourself that you don't like. You know, maybe when you get fed up enough with yourself, you'll just go out and say, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want. You know, just get more fed up. Don't do anything for a long time until you're just burning with getting out there to help somebody.
Well, I started doing my own outreach because I couldn't feel like I was in competition anymore. So I did my own thing because I couldn't go a week without doing something, serving and connecting with people.
Yeah. When I first started singing, I mean, years ago, we would have what we call the Kirtanwala Wars. You know, everybody was trying to shine brighter than the person behind them. It was terrible. But you just keep singing, it all goes away. You know. Yeah. We all do so much damage to ourselves, you know, all of us. None of us really are shining as much as we really could shine. There's so many reasons. Everybody has reasons not to shine. In a good way shine, you know, for our own self, really. Our own doubts about ourselves, our own fears. Makes us human, but big deal, you know. But, you know, just really try to listen to yourself underneath all that stuff, what you need to do. You know, nobody can tell you what's in your heart, but you have to kind of find that place where it's just you, and then you don't care about what anybody says or how they are. You're doing what you have to do, whatever that is. If it means you have to go do your own thing, then do your own thing. But at the same time, do we want to be pushed around by our stuff all the time, you know, and never get free of that? So it's just keep calming yourself down if you can, you know. Just, you don't have to do like practice. Just like chill. Just let everything just go. Just see who you are, see what you want. You're writing your life now. It's not, every day is new. Every moment is new. You're free to do what you want. So you got to find out what that is and how you want it to do. Of course, on the other hand, it's all written already. So it just depends how you look at it. There are people who don't like me, believe it or not. Can you fucking believe it? I don't give a shit. So, them, you know. So, good. Knock yourself out, you know. Who cares?
Hello.
What? Where are you? Oh, yeah.
I have.
It's okay.
So I think you said three things. You said you have to have courage to go after what you want. Don't think about yourself and serve others. And also, you don't do anything, God does everything.
Every one of those things is true. Good luck.
how do you how do you reconcile those three things?
You don't. You just go ahead. Yeah, I mean, those are different levels. They don't reconcile on this level. On one level, there's no one, nothing ever happened, nothing ever will happen, it's all one, period. There's nobody, nothing. And that's true. Then there's other levels where you think you are who you think you are, and that person has a lot to do. Then there's another level where everything's already done, and you're just following the script blindly, but you think you're doing it. Each level has its own relative reality, and they're true. But you can't up-level in your mind. You think you are who you think you are right now. That's who you think you are. So that's the level of reality we're stuck in. On that level, we make decisions, we need courage, we know all kinds of things. We need food, we need sleep, we need shelter, we need all kinds of things on that level. Definitely need, but without those things, we die. So that's true. But on another level, which is also a different level of reality, you are not who you think you are. Not even close. There's no thought whatsoever. You are a soul, you're a being, you know, it's a whole other level of reality, but that's not where we live. So on the level you live on, the level we live on, we have things we need to do. Things need to be taken care of. You need to breathe, for instance. Try living without breathing. Very difficult. Or eating, or sleeping, or doing various other bodily functions, with or without other people. Difficult. So according to this world, the world that we live in, who we think we are, there's things we need to do. One of those things is to have courage and go for what we want in our hearts, because no one else will give it to us if we don't go for it. That's the basics of our daily life. And but did Maharaji, who seemed to be living on the same world as us, he was in a physical body, I saw him eat, etc. But was he living in the same world as I was living? No. Not even close. But he could be here, but his reality was completely different. Also true for that reality. In a sense, it's more true than this one, but this is the one we're stuck in. This is the bandwidth we're stuck in. In this bandwidth, we have to act a certain way. You have to stop at the red and go at the green, or your history. So you have to learn the rules of engagement here, how to do it the best way. So, but you can't sit here and say, it's all done, there's nothing to do. Then you starve to death, right? You could say that to yourself, but your body will tell you that you better go eat something. So you're forced to action. We're impelled to do certain things by our hormones, by our bodies, by our emotions and our thoughts. That's this world. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not ultimate reality, but it's where we are. So we have to learn how to navigate this in the best way possible, which will ultimately lead us to real love and real truth. So. Yeah, you don't tell people, oh, your suffering's not real, you know. That's not, it's real. It may not be true. Like one teacher of mine, he said he was in a plane on the way to Kathmandu from Delhi, and it flies in these valleys, right? You know, like seems to be inches away from the mountains, like the wing touch. And he was paralyzed with fear. And he realized, wait a minute, the fear is real, I'm feeling it, but is it true? I mean, are we going to hit the thing? No. So there's two things. There's real, that's who you think you are, and then there's true, which is who you really are, which we don't know. But we have to honor the feeling of the real feelings we have. In this moment, that's who we are. Teek?
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry.
Where?
Yeah. Going back to this idea of attachment.
Wait, jump up and down. I don't know where you are. Oh, back there. Okay, hi.
Hi.
Okay,
sorry.
you can sit now. I
Thank
see
you. Going back to this idea of attachment, when we fall in love with like one person and not another, and like that's a very real experience. So what is that?
Good question. You know, one time I don't know if I was there or if I heard it. Maharaji was sitting with some of his old devotees, and there was one guy there who was absolutely the sweetest man that I ever met in my life. Just extraordinary. And he turned to him and he pointed to him and he said, he was my enemy in our last life. So we're attracted to people. We don't know why. One time this Buddhist master came out of the jungle with some of his disciples to beg for food. That's what they did once a day. And they're approaching this village, and they stop, and the master smiles. And his disciple says, "Oh, great one, a master doesn't smile without a cause. What is the cause of that smile?" That's the way Buddhists talk. Thousands of years ago. What is the cause of this smile? And so the master points to this. He says, "See there? What do you see?" And the guy says, "Well, I see this hut, and there's this young woman sitting out in front of the hut nursing her baby, and she's holding a piece of meat, and she's kicking the dog to keep him away from the meat." And he said, "Just so, just so. She's nursing her enemy, eating her ex-husband, and kicking her former child to keep him away from the meat." Right? The person you attract to could have been somebody that you wanted to fucking kill last life, you know? And then you tripped over him in this life and you go, "Oh, hi, yeah, you." And that's what we call love. Terrific. You never know. You just never know. So you have to pay some attention, you know. But it's beyond our pay grade. We just do the best we can. Well, it's 5:36. We were supposed to stop at 5:30. So any more questions? No more Indian people. They ask all these long questions. Okay. Wait, hold it. The mic. Where's the mic? Okay. We're coming there. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, so I had this experience 2 years ago where I was like at my lowest point in life, and I felt like the only way I can describe it is I was saved by God, and I felt, and I'm not really religious, but I felt this.
God isn't religious either, don't worry.
Yeah, I felt that truth where for the first time I just truly realized I am God and God is love, and I am that love. And it was like I was in another dimension. I knew that so truly, even though before that I always associated God with religion, and I didn't want to touch that.
Mm-hmm.
And that led me on a spiritual journey over the last 2 years, and really opened my heart and my mind. But I've never felt to that same level of depth I felt in that moment. You know, I can talk about it, I can share this experience.
It's a memory now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
So the question I have is like, how do I stay there? And
you don't. You didn't do it in the first place. You think now you're going to do it again? It was a gift. Enjoy it. Do the best you can to live according to that. But yeah, those hits we get for a reason, but they don't stay. They don't stay. You can't. You didn't do it in the first place. Now what are you going to? How are you going to do it now? Surrender. That's what it's called. Give up. Just be with it, enjoy, try to stay in contact with it as much as you can. But you know, Don't try too hard. That'll just fuck it up. Just be you. Live. Already your path is different because of that. Your life changed because of that. So what? What do you want to do? You're going to micro this and that. I'm going to, and then 3:38 and 42 seconds that happened, and now this 43 seconds and that happened. I'm going to do it. Just chill, relax, breathe, live, be happy, or not. There's nothing to do. You didn't do anything to make it happen the first time. What do you think you can do now? Right? Except take it easy. Is that hard? Yes. But good luck. Give the mic to somebody else, please.
Who was it?
Those Indian people over there.
Those Indian people.
हिंदुस्तानी लोग काफी बात करते हैं.
I have a request, not a question. I'm here with my husband and my 4-year-old son, who has been very well behaved throughout this session.
Very good. Hello.
That's because I promised him that he's going to see Hanuman Dada here and you're going to sing.
Oh.
But he was turning impatient. He came all the way here. That why is he not
Aw.
singing? So could you please tell him that you're going to sing and that I was not lying to him?
Yeah. Hi. Somewhere over the rainbow. I just sang. Boy, what pressure. You're not coming tonight? He's too late? Oh, poor baby. It's too late for him tonight, huh?
Okay, he doesn't like attention, so if
I got that
just
feeling.
don't look at me.
Yeah.
But no, you.
Go take care of your son.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh. Don't you feel it? It's brutal. Oh. If we could only cry like that for love, we'd already be enlightened. But we're too cool. What to do? Okay, just a couple more. Okay.
Hi, Katie.
Mm.
You said today that it took you 21 years from you had that thought of, I'll see you with people. And you have shared several times that in those 21 years you passed through a sort of dark night of the soul with addictions and hard stuff. I was wondering, I grew up in a Catholic, very conservative, macho Latino culture where guilt and shame and these sort of things were the daily kind of thing that we heard when we went to church, things like that. And through the years after practicing, I keep coming back to a sort of wall into these things, in daily way of living with relations, family, friends, and kind of, would you say, like self-sabotaging myself and going into these back loops of guilt and shame. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with these kind of situations when they are long-lasting and they just feel so hard?
The thing is, those are programs that are running, and they're still running in you, but you're aware of it. If you're aware of it, it's not the same as being completely stuck already. So you just stay aware of that, and you just keep letting go of it, and trying to see how you're programmed, and just noticing it. You can't stop the programs from running, you can just let them run. But once you notice them, they're very different. So the will doesn't, there's nowhere to stop a thought. How do you stop it? Where do you shoot it? Where is it, But you can let go. But there's have to be some intention there, You don't, oh, it's just a program that's running, blah, blah, blah. No, you have to sit with it, really see it clearly, and just give it some love, let it go, release it. And then see the suffering of the people who are stuck in that in your family, that they have no freedom from that stuff. It runs their lives completely. And then have some gratitude that it doesn't run your life completely. And that's a good thing to do. So. Oh.
Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, okay. I'm not picking. Somebody pick, I can't tell.
Do you have one more?
Tell me when.
Now.
Okay. Who is it?
Katie.
Where are you? Oh, you count.
Hi. Just a question maybe for another time. You could just want to ask it since I'm here, and you could just ruminate on it, and any Thursday night, let it come out. There's a lot of breakdown from COVID as far as hospital care and people wanting to go to work and entitlements and all kinds of things like that. But one in Washington and all in the financial markets is AI and deep learning, where it seems like the value is let's do it quicker, faster, better. Artificial intelligence is 8 billion times. We can do it faster, we can do our homework better. It's a real, just I feel it everywhere and I hear it all the time, like more money, faster. And I think when I heard 60 Minutes for Frontline said that the deep learning machines now are capable of not only inventing eight chess games that have never been played or won, but they actually can figure out what computer parts they need to make them even faster and stronger and powerful. And it scares the shit. I mean, it's really scary. That now we'll have like bionic parts and blah, blah, blah. And so just as a future question, not even to be answered now, I actually prefer you not to, just to sit on it, because you are wise when you ruminate on things. It really, is there, not that you have an answer, but the only thing I can do is go to temple. And in temple, it's not as important to me, AI, and how the world's going to be changing with machines, and then they can make their own parts and then become deep learning, become self-maintaining. Like, I forget the term, whatever. It's very scary. And I'm wondering, in Kali Yuga, it's like really bad Kali Yuga, AI Kali Yuga, and deep learning Kali Yuga for the dark side. It's very scary, because I've already seen at the hospitals the breakdown. If they can't, okay, sorry.
It's not my world to run. All I can do is do the best I can every day with everything that I come in contact with. If the world's going to go to hell, what am I going to do about it? I can't hear you. Yeah?
Yes. Okay. The question is, it's not my, I don't want to be part of that world. I'd rather stay home, watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be by myself, which is not good either.
No.
So, is there a practice we can do just to help? I don't know. I go to temple, and I take refuge in the temple, and I go home and then face it again, back and forth.
It's good. It's good you get some time off from your head.
Exactly. So it just food for thought, just to ruminate on it.
Yeah, no, we're all doing the best we can. There's a lot of people for whom that means taking advantage of everything, and hurting as many people they can. What are we going to do? Just do the best we can, and hopefully that spreads from one person to another the best we can. Where the world's going, it's above my pay grade. I'm trying to figure out how I can get to the bathroom now before I pee in my pants. Can we say goodnight?